Hello, and thanks for joining me today. You're listening to Alive with Dr. Nimira. Over the last decade, I've been spending my days taking care of mostly women who not only have aches and pains, but who have also spent the last decade or two putting their career and family first. I stand for a world where we can live our passions and purpose all out without the fear of our physical bodies giving out. I've created this podcast, Alive, always living in vibrant energy, as a quick way for you to learn more about your bodies. This really is a no frills, get the information out there podcast, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. As an upper cervical chiropractor, I regularly take care of many different types of people at varying degrees of health, and over the upcoming episodes, we'll discuss many types of things that can be reduced or eliminated when you can rebalance your health at the level of your brainstem. Today, I wanted to check in with you and see how virtual working has been going for many of you. I've been doing a lot of check-ins on social media and to my email list just to check in and see what everyone's virtual workstation looks like. Because I know most people are used to going into the office and not many are used to actually having their laptop potentially at home in a designated workspace. So I thought it would be really good to check in and see what you're doing and how you're kind of addressing that situation to try and help you get the best for your body in the time that we're stuck in this position. So I know most of us may be working from a laptop, and what tends to happen when we're on our laptop or even when we're on our computer is we get into poor posture, and that poor posture will put us in a position of forward head posture that then can start causing neck pain, tension headaches, shoulder pain, tightness in the low back, all these different symptoms that arise just from being in a bad position. So what I wanted to do is first I'm going to have you think about where you actually have your work set up. Are you set up in an office that you actually already have at home where you're at a desk and a chair? Are you at your dining room table? Are you standing up at an island or the counter in your kitchen? Are you seated on your sofa in your living room? Are you on your bed? Where are you? Then I want you to think about where your laptop is sitting or your computer. The biggest thing I'm going to have you think about are the screen and the keyboard and whether those are attached or not. And then I want you to think about the position you're in. Are you on a chair with your feet flat on the floor, your knees bent at a 90-degree angle, your hips at a 90-degree angle with your body upright, or are you slouched somewhere, or your legs crisscrossed underneath you? How are you seated? All those things are going to have a really big effect on what your body positioning is and what your muscles are going to do for the period of time that you're sitting, okay? So what we're going to do is I first want you to think about where you're at, and now I want you to think about if you need to change your positioning. You absolutely need to be seated on a chair, please. I just actually saw a patient just a few moments ago who told me he's been sitting with his laptop in his lap with his head bent forward, and we were wondering why all of a sudden he has shoulder pain when normally he gets low back pain. So this is something that's happening new for everyone. Most people aren't used to it, okay? It's totally okay and totally normal. We're just going to try and find some quick little hacks that we can do to help you get through the upcoming weeks. So first, make sure you're seated nicely on a chair. What you want to do is get a feeling for where you're sitting and what your pelvis feels like, okay? You're going to think about your sit bones. Those are the bones, your pelvis, the part that actually sits on the chair. I want you to take a second and kind of rock forward on them so you feel your back arch, your low back arch, and then I want you to take a second to rock back on them. A lot of times when people are trying to overcorrect good posture and they come upright, they actually push their spine into an arch and they lean forward into their sit bones and they actually create a bigger arch. That's going to cause a lot of your low back muscles to tighten up. So you want to definitely find a neutral position where you're in the middle of your sit bones and not completely slouched back either, okay? So that's going to be a big one. You want to make sure your feet are nice and flat on the floor. If you're short, you might need to put a book or a stool underneath your feet, or you can raise or lower your chair. The next thing you want to do is make sure that your keyboard or your laptop is at a level where you can kind of keep your elbows at a neutral and your wrists at a neutral. You don't want to have to lift your hands too far up or too far down, okay? The next big thing, especially if you're at a desk and chair, is to look at your screen height. The big thing with screen height is you want to make sure that you're not tucked down, looking down at your screen. What that does is that tucks your head into that forward head posture with your chin to your chest, okay? You want to make sure that it's up high enough that your chin stays level with the ground and that your eyes are looking straight ahead of you so that you can see your whole screen. If you need to do something about it, grab some textbooks, grab a small box, be able to lift your laptop up or even your screen up to get it at the right level, okay? Those are some really big things that we want to look at when we're looking at positioning at the workstation. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you're not sitting there for too long. If you're on back-to-back calls, I totally understand. You're going to need to be able to find moments, hopefully in between them, to at least stand up and stretch and get a few moments of some deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Move your arms around, bend over, touch your toes, stand back up again. And if you can avoid it, then, go and take a walk to the living room or the kitchen, grab some water, walk to the bathroom, take a break, step outside, get some fresh air. Do things in between all these moments if you can to help kind of wake up your body and not be stuck in that position. Because the longer and longer you're there, you're going to find yourself leaning forward and forward and forward. So what happens for many of us is when we're in this poor posture at the computer, we tend to lean forward to look at the computer screen. What happens is our lovely noggin is 10 to 12 pounds. That's actually really heavy. And that 10 to 12 pound bowling ball that's sitting on top of your head was designed to feel weightless on your 7 little cervical bones because they hold that head on a beautiful little C curve, which is designed to make it feel weightless. Once you leave that pretty C curve and you're tilted forward, your head actually starts to weigh down on your neck and shoulders. So your 10-pound head, when you have just 1 inch of forward head posture, now starts to feel like 20 pounds on your neck and shoulders, okay? If you have 2 inches of forward head posture and you're really tipped forward, you go into 30 pounds of pressure on your neck and shoulders. So when you start to add that pressure on your neck and shoulders, you can see how your neck muscles are going to tighten up to try and keep your head on top of your neck. And that's where all that tension and tightness comes from. And then when you have all that tension and tightness, that will cause a headache. And so the great thing that you can do is take that break, get their head back on top of your shoulders, and start to improve your posture. So that's one way we can start feeling like our head is not a 10-pound bowling ball, even though it is, okay? So make sure you take those breaks. A lot of times I see patients, and that's one of the first things we start to notice when we can get that atlas right back in the proper position. We're able to get our head back on top of our shoulders, take that pressure off the brainstem, which then releases stress on the body. When you don't have stress on the body, everything can start to work well again in many different ways and shapes. So we're able to go from there and reduce that stress and tension, okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to check in with me. If you want, you can actually email me and send me a picture of your work setup, and I'm happy to kind of give you some tips on it. But that's pretty much all I have for today. I hope that you learned something new and have some useful information to improve your health for the next few weeks. Don't take life too seriously. Stress definitely makes everything worse. Enjoy this week as best as you can, and I'll catch you in 2 weeks. In the meantime, purposefully live all out and reach out for help if you need it. I'm here for you.